So, all right, I tell you, Bill, I known you a long time, and I get the screener for the cartoon. And there's part of me, you know the deal. There's part of me, it's like, fucking cartoon. Oh my God.
I like that you call it a cartoon. That's what I call it. That animated series is a little too highbrow for me.
Well, yeah, but I'm not necessarily a cartoon guy. Are you? Do you watch Family Guy? You watch The Simpsons? Really?
Oh, yeah, I watch South Park's the best social
South Park,
commentary.
fine, yes. No, I agree with you. I don't watch it
for
much.
the last 20 years on TV. And I watch Axe Cop, Major Lazer, all that stuff.
Oh, you do?
Oh my God, I love that stuff.
I gotta watch. Well, let's see.
Dude, it's like
my point is.
It's like Pink Floyd made a cartoon sometimes. Some of the stuff they come up with.
I was on a couple cartoons. I'm on Adventure Time. One episode of Adventure Time. Play a flying squirrel or a non-flying squirrel.
Of course you did. I could have told you were going to get that gig first time I met you.
I got a regular gig on Harvey Beaks. I'm a cranky raccoon. I'm involved.
That's good.
With animation.
You're in it, but you're just not into it.
Well, I don't watch it, and I don't watch anything though. So I'm like, all right, I'll watch Bill's cartoon. So and then I'm watching it, and I'm like, oh, this is good, 70s. I'm like, still a cartoon. But then at some point, I'm like completely emotionally engaged.
Nice.
Yeah. 10 minutes, 12 minutes in, I'm like, what's going to happen? Then all of a sudden, the kids came to life. The father that you're playing, he came to life, and the time period came to life, and I was very emotionally moved.
Very nice.
Is that what I was supposed to do?
Yeah, well, the mission statement basically was how the whole thing came about.
F for family, it's called.
F is for family, yeah. How it came about was, I was initially just gonna make little 5-minute vignettes.
Right.
I was gonna pay for it, just throw it up on my website, and it was all based on how, we look like the Brady Bunch, we look like a Norman Rockwell painting of a family.
Right.
And we would always do this Norman Rockwell-esque stuff like, hey, let's go get a Christmas tree.
Right.
But it was all the dysfunction between that idea and then the end when we were decorating the tree. I'm like, that's where the gold is. That's where the stand-up is. And, I'd been telling those stories throughout my career. And, as I started getting older, and the generation that wore helmets when they rode bicycles and helicopter parents and play dates, they came up, and a lot of them still came up like me, but there was that social pressure to groan at bullying and not laugh at it the way you did when you were kids.
Right, right. So your generation, you mean, that has a family now.
Yeah. So these kids came along, and then they would just groan, and I got frustrated.
Yeah.
So that's how I started thinking, I'll do the vignette. Then, of course, I'm a comedian. I procrastinate. I never did it.
Right.
And then I just happened to have a general meeting with Wild West, Vince Vaughn's company. And they were like, what do you got? You got any ideas for TV shows? And I was like, no, nothing I ever pitch ever gets made. And all it does, I get tied up in a development deal, and then I can't be on shows that are actually on the air. So I don't want to get tied up in one of those. That's a sucker's game. So you guys are making movies. I like movies. If you can shoehorn me in there, I'll play anybody you want. And they were like, all right, cool, but we like you, blah, blah. So, as I was walking out the door, I literally just, I got this cartoon idea, and they were looking to do one. Literally, and they just pulled me in, and next thing you know, we got Mike Price, the great Mike Price from The Simpsons, co-created the show, and
it was all your idea, though.
The inception of it, but the show itself is literally like 20 people.
Sure, but this is based on your family.
The character I play is an amalgam of everybody's dad there.
Yeah,
I wanted my family, my dad, everybody to be able to sit down and watch this and enjoy the show the way you're going to. But every once in a while, I'll be like, I remember doing that.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
But not so.
But nobody's going to know what happened or what didn't happen.
Right. But they're not going to be like, oh, shit, he's throwing me under the bus.
Yeah.
Kids throwing me under the bus.
No, I respect the fact that I was dumb enough to pick a job to get into the public eye, and they didn't. So I respect the fact that they don't want to be. But there's a few things
I'm still learning that lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's a line in that, like that thing, I'll put you through that fucking wall.
Yeah.
Like, my dad did say that. And there was a moment one time he was yelling at us outside. We had this field next to the house, and he just sort of randomly pointed towards the woods. He was so ramped up. We pissed him off. So, I'll put you through that fucking wall. And we had all we could do not to laugh, because it's like, Dad, we're standing here in the woods. But the thing about my dad was, like, 3 days later, you could bring it up and tell the story, and he would laugh his ass off.
Right.
So it was, it's, that volatile moment.
A little hot-headed.
Yeah. I mean,
you don't have that at all.
No,
Jeez, I wonder.
Yeah. I take after my mom. No, I have that in spades. But I think a lot of times.
No, he turns out to be the great thing about that character in the show is that there's an edge to it, but, he's a sympathetic character. You know what I mean? Like, the balance of it is good. He's not a monster. I think that if you saw that father now, out in public doing that with his kids, like you said, that generation of pussies would be like, that's, someone should call child services. But, when you're in the dynamic and you realize the guy's got shortcomings and weaknesses of his own, there's a humility to it and you like the guy.
Yeah, his heart's in the right place.
Right, that's it.
A lot of times I would always say to a lot of people in my life, talking about the curse of having a temper, is what happens is even when you're in the right, you become wrong. Because they can then say, like, all right, I shouldn't have done this and this, but that's no reason to call me a cunt.
Yeah, or everyone's crying just because you didn't have the right breakfast. I know what you mean. Right, yeah, because once you escalate to a certain point, it's no longer about right or wrong.
It's about...
You're just an asshole.
Yes, that's what it becomes. So that has been my big thing with my temper.
Yeah, oh, really?
Is I've tried to, and I try not to lose my mind. I try not to lose... Like the other night, I was driving with my wife, and we were going over to go see a movie, and I made it all the way to Santa Monica without
Hollywood.
Without flipping out.
Oh, it's hard.
And right as I was pulling into the where I was going to park, some asshole did something, and I completely lost my shit. To about I was on 7. I wasn't even close to 10.
But not at her, just at the situation.
Just at L.A. It drove me nuts that the fucking robot lady says that you're at the place that you're at and you're not, and then you got to figure out where you're at.
Right.
I'm talking about the GPS thing. And then I realized, I'm not here. And I looked in the rearview mirror. There was nobody there. My wife asked me one question. I looked for half a second, answered, and looked in the rearview mirror, and there was like 6 cars coming.
Yeah.
And I swear to God, it's like the Truman Show out here. It's like, he wants to back up. All right, roll in all these cars. And I completely lost my shit. But I made a joke. I said, well, I almost did it. I almost made it.
Yeah. Was she all right?
No, I don't think she is. I think that it really affects her in a negative way, and it's something I'm trying to work on because
they fill up with it.
I was gonna say that I don't sometimes understand the tension that it creates, but it's like, yes, I do, because I grew up in a house.
Well, you're just walking around on eggshells. You're like, you don't want that fucking guy. When's that guy gonna blow?
Yeah. And I hate that I became that guy because I always said I wasn't gonna be that guy. So that's something that I've been trying to work on.
How do you do it? Because I have the same, lately with me, I'm moving to the mountains. I want to get out altogether. Because a lot of it is bullshit. LA, a lot of it is traffic related. It's like I have a hard time managing that shit. In the relationship situation, I'm a little better, but I just stew. I don't yell anymore. How are you at stewing?
The stewing is more, I wouldn't say stew. To me, I'm more pouting.
Oh, really?
I didn't get my way, and now I'm going to sit here and just not talk to you as an adult, literally acting like an 8-year-old. So, there's a lot of embarrassing facets of my
anger.
Everything. It just all leads to I wish I could be that. I wish I could have that chill vibe.
Do we? I mean, I'd like to be able to turn it on and off, but I don't a lot of times, I don't want to admit it.
Right.
Because people ask me all the time, do you think that you need your craziness or your neurotic shit or your anger to be funny? And I'm like, I don't need it, but then it never goes away, so I'm not doing anything to fix or behave differently around some fundamental shit because it does drive a lot.
Yeah, but you're way less angry than when I met you. And I am too.
Yeah,
I'm definitely way less angry.
We did all right.
But our thing is we set the bar so high with the anger that even us just coming down is still like... I remember my brother told me, we all got a bit of my dad's temper. One of my brothers told me this story one time riding with his girlfriend at the time, and he was flipping about, blah, 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 da, 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 and she just goes, stop yelling. He goes, I'm not yelling. And then he just goes, this is yelling, and went totally through it and literally blew her hair back. And I think that was the end of it because she was a sweetheart and didn't come from that, which is just, I can't imagine. I have a lot of empathy.
Yeah.
Not empathy, sympathy for anybody that came from a decent background that ends up
with one of us
in a day-to-day with me.
With the monsters.
Yeah, I'm not that bad, but I mean,
well, it's like
if you live with me, my wife puts up with a lot.
It's a rage thing, it comes over you, and it's a horrible feeling when you're seized by it, where you're like it's happening, it's happening.
Oh, now at this age, it's happening, and you can't stop it.
It's just coming out of your mouth. God damn it! And you're like, why is this happening? There's a guy in there going, what are we doing?
What are we doing? She's gonna get upset with you. You told her you weren't gonna do this. You know what my thing is? Technology.
Oh yeah, so you're the guy with the gadgets yelling?
No, I can't. I hate all of it.
It's draining.
It is draining. I hate like the new operating systems and all that stuff. All it is designed to do is fill up your damn thing, so you got to throw it out and get another one.
Yeah.
And it's like I just learned the other one.
Yeah, right.
So it's like back in the day when I was a kid, you learned how to read. You could read.
Right.
And I was literate.
Right.
And then what I can't stand about these things, it's like I'm functionally literate. It's the best I ever get.
Right.
And then I go right back to being in first grade again. Like A is for Apple.
And that's what it is. It's that planned obsolescence shit. At least back in the day when they did that with cars or televisions, is a good example from the show. You had a choice. Like, I'm going to stick with the old one. I don't need the new window thing. I don't
you
need
could get it fixed. You could go to the television repair person. Like, that, my parents' generation, I think, is one of the last generations that they bought stuff and they have it for, like, I go home to my parents' house and I just look at stuff going like, dude, look at this spoon. I ate with this 40 years ago. Wooden spoons, glasses.
Yeah.
Like, back in the day, like, we had, like, the big wooden TVs on the legs. Yeah, we blew the tube.
Yeah.
Then you just didn't watch TV for, like, 3 days. And then somebody came by.
With a tube.
And he fixed it, and then it worked again.
Everything, you just throw everything away now. Everything's garbage.
You fixed the vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
Yeah, you bought one.
There were whole businesses based on people's fear of buying new things.
And then it became the whole, like, well, you might as well buy a new one.
Right.
Because it's going to cost you almost as much. And
they're all in on it.
Well, and then you got that big swirl of garbage out there in the Pacific. And I always think about that every time. I just thought about that when I went to go get a little breakfast burrito there.
The swirl of garbage?
Yeah, because they thought I was getting it to go. So then she put it in a brown paper bag. So I took it out. I go, yeah, I don't need this.
Yeah.
I don't need this. And then she goes, you want a paper plate? And I go, yeah. So it was a wash.
How does it get to the swirl of garbage?
Well, I mean, if it either ends up in a landfill or it goes in the ocean. You never throw anything out. Like, everything you've ever owned exists someplace on this planet.
Yeah.
Unless it was biodegradable at this point.
Burned.
Yeah. I mean,
so it's out there.
It's out there. Your rollerblades, everything that you stopped using.
There's a large swirl of garbage?
Yeah, the suspenders that you had when you were into roller skating way back in the day, there's somewhere. Large swirl of garbage. It's like 2 miles deep and twice the size of Texas, just out in the Pacific Ocean, just swirling around.
What's it doing?
The way the currents move or something caused it all to kind of go there. I don't know. What am I, scientist?
Was it 2 miles deep, you said?
2 miles deep and like 1.5 times the size of Texas.
Oh, my God. So this is the stuff that, like, you're having a good day. You're having a pretty good morning, right?
Yeah.
You can have a breakfast burrito. And then you want a paper bag? No, I don't want to. And then a plate? Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're in the swirl of garbage.
Yeah.
And it's
Mentally.
over.
I think that. And then you know what? The other person who just takes the paper bag and the paper plate, I immediately assume that they know about the swirl of garbage and they don't care.
Right. That fucker.
Yeah.
No heart.
Rather than he probably has like 4 kids and he's been up all night.
But you've got a paper plate too. I think that's part of the anger is that, you get angry on principle, but then you can't help.
No, you can't.
But
you're going to go for comfort.
Be part of it.
Yeah. You got to go.
No winning.
No, I went down the rabbit hole of conspiracy theory. I've crawled out.
I tried to get you out of that a little bit.
I just, I was right about a lot of the stuff because it was about banking, if you do remember.
Oh, no, yeah, there's always the them, and they are running everything. That's true.
I just don't think it's organized. Like, when you know what they say is like stupid things like Jews run Hollywood.
Yeah,
Hollywood. It would be like, dude, the level of cooperation
necessary
just to run Hollywood, and if you've been in this town for more than 3 seconds, it is a knife fight. Well, nobody's working with anybody.
I had that moment with my friend Jim, who worked for Clinton, and he's a politics guy. Mm-hmm. It's in Jerusalem Syndrome. I used to do it on stage, I think, where I just go off in this rant. It's the Bilderberger Group, the Trilateral Commission, the Freemasons. Look at I'm yelling at him on the mall in D.C.
Yep.
And I think I nailed it.
And you got the beard. You're that guy.
I was that guy. and he takes this weird beat and he just looks at me and goes, Mark, people here just aren't that organized. There's just no way.
Yeah. They aren't.
I mean, it's like
people will try to do it, but at the end of the day, even within your group, someone's going to be like, well, why is Mark on top? I want to be that guy. And it all falls. It's like a band. Yeah. How many bands, other than the Rolling Stones, were able to stay together? After a while, you just like this guy with the way he eats toast.
Get him out.
Yeah.
But the thing is, but you're right about the banks because they're the ones that can rig the system. If you can rig the system, it's very hard to rig the system in show business. Yeah, you can close the gates and certain people get jobs, but if they don't make money, it's over.
Right.
You only cannot make money a couple of times before show business is like, well, that guy's done. But if you can rig the system from the inside and people are too stupid or it's too difficult to find out, then you do run everything.
Right. But even then, banks are competing with other banks, but it's just more like they're just not regulated, so it's just what they're doing is like reprehensible. I just actually watched a screener of that new Brad Pitt. The
Big Short. I saw it.
Yeah, was incredible. But I have an equal amount of anger for the bankers and the dopes that got themselves involved in those loans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's just like, I flunked math. I flunked math every single year of high school.
Right.
And my brother was able to sit down and explain to me how a mortgage worked in a 5-minute conversation.
Right.
How to go. And I remember when I first got a mortgage, and I was like, I'm going to make double mortgage payment. I bought something I could afford, first of all.
Yeah.
To pay more than the mortgage. And I made like double mortgage payments. And all of a sudden, I was 6 months ahead on my mortgage, but hadn't knocked down the principal because I was just making interest payments.
Right.
And then I was like, oh, that's how that works. So then I was like, all right, so I'm just paying the mortgage, and then this other stuff I write on this line that's principal. I'm a moron. I was able to figure that out. So I know there was a lot of people. My dad flipped out when the whole thing happened in 07. I remember,
but people should know better, where they're like, sign this paper, we'll give you a free house, and you can pay for it later.
Yeah.
And there are people that are just like, free house?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or like when the bank calls you up to refinance. It's like, hey, you're paying $1,800 a month. You want to make $1,200? You want to have a $1,200 a month mortgage? It's like, let me get this straight. You just called me up to make $600 less a month. How does this work? And what it is they go back to like mortgage payment number 1. So all the interest you've been paying for the last 5 years is just in the ocean. It's in their pocket, and then you got to start all over again. So that's $600 a month you're saving.
Nobody does
somehow
that.
It works out with the numbers that you're actually paying more.
But most people just hear like, yeah, I'll save $600 a month.
And then you know what they do with that $600? They go out and they buy a flat screen TV, which is a total depreciating, whatever they call it, asset.
Nothing.
And then where does it end up?
In the ocean.
In the ocean. Hitting a porpoise right in the teeth.
Swirling.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, what is on F is for family, right? That's the whole title. You're working with great people. I mean, there's a lot of great people on that show. Who are the people who are doing the voices with you? You're doing the father. Great. You got a great clip at that. How many takes you got to do with that? You just kind of roll with it?
It took me like three times of going in there to get Comedy Club comfortable.
Right.
And
on those mics.
Yeah.
Were you usually working with an ensemble, or were you doing it separately?
Both. Both. So, you said earlier you did it, so you know the deal. So it was just sort of a thing where I'm obviously comfortable on a microphone, wearing headphones, done enough radio, so that was comfortable. But then it was just like, okay, we're going to do the whole script.
Yeah.
And, sometimes I did it by myself, so that was just a little weird. And then also trying to keep the energy going up as you're reading the lines, 'cause you're not going to memorize the whole script.
Right, no, you can't. You got to read.
And you don't have to. You know what I mean? You just go in there. So it was learning how to do that, and anybody listening to my podcast knows that reading out loud is not one of my strong suits.
It's hard. It's like reading a prompter. It's like making, so you learned how to do that. You had to pick up that skill, huh?
Yeah, so I got a little better than that. But as far as like the cast, Laura Dern plays my wife.
Yeah.
Justin Long crushes it as Kevin.
The Stoner brother?
Yep, the Stoner brother. And then Little Bill is played by Haley Reinhart, who is one of the finalists on like American Idol. And that was a very key voice to get, because a little boy's voice where it hasn't, changed yet.
Yeah.
If he's whining to his parents, can be really annoying. And and I don't know. I always looked at those kids like, I want to beat the shit out of you.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
This natural vulnerability that's annoying.
She has this natural raspiness to her voice that singer thing, and she was able to, she does such a great voice on that.
Oh, it's like Pam Adlon in King of the Hill. She played the little boy.
Yeah.
Had that,
I think, you got to have a little bit of that so it doesn't sound like a little girl.
Right.
Debbie Derryberry plays Maureen, the daughter, and if you've watched any of those Pixar animated movies, she's done like a zillion. Total pro. Kevin Farley's in there. Sam Rockwell.
Well, what does he play?
He plays Vic Reynolds, the cool next door neighbor.
Oh, that's Sam Rockwell?
Yeah.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah.
That's a great
I always
character.
forget Kevin Michael Richardson. Mo Collins. Oh my God, Mo Collins absolutely destroys from Mad TV. Absolutely crushes it. She does the voice of Jimmy Fitzsimmons, the bully, and a bunch of other voices. It's been an incredible.
That's an all-star team there.
Yeah. Well, what happened was we wrote a really funny script, and we got one big fish. I forget who we got first. So then all of a sudden it's like, well, this is a funny script, and so-and-so's attached. Then all of a sudden they started falling like dominoes, and it was just it was incredible. But I got to tell you, watching like the actors, more so than the voiceover people, because they were such pros. They just had the voice.
Yeah.
But watching Sam Rockwell, Laura Dern, and Justin Long, watching their approach where it's just like I watched like all of them, like every take, like it was like when they first did it, you're like, oh my God, like what are they doing?
Yeah.
And then 5 minutes later, like, wow, that's really good. And then like 10 minutes in, 7 to 10 minutes in, it was just this different person that wasn't them. I was just like, how do they do that?
Yeah.
Like that is amazing.
They're fucking pros.
Yeah. And they had like their process, and I was like, I was looking at more like it from a stand-up approach, like, get in there, make it funny right now.
But it works.
Yeah.
Because you got that character. You know that guy.
Yeah.
We do what we can within the range we can do it.
Totally.
But
I'm basically being propped up by a tremendous amount of talent.
Right. No, but that's not true. You have a tremendous amount of talent. You're a good actor too. But you seem to be, comfortable in a lot of different roles. But this one really speaks to you. I mean, you know this guy. You are this guy for the most part. We're better if we're the guy.
Yeah, it's
some version of it.
Yeah, what's cool about this is that some of my dad's catchphrases, some of Mike Price's, some of the other writers' catchphrases or experiences, and then his politics sometimes are mine though.
Yeah.
So it's sort of this cyborg version. It's like this.
Right.
It's a bunch of personalities in there.
But you get the tone.
Yeah. So I mean,
yeah, it's great, dude. You've done some acting that's not like Breaking Bad and shit, and some, but like that guy, I think was the least like you. You had to turn a lot of things off, to have that guy.
But I've always wanted to play a guy, Patrick Kuby, by the way. When I found out his first name was Patrick, was after I had filmed my final scene, and then I was just watching the series, because I was always flying for one day. I'd do my little BS, and they'd send me back. And I remember knowing that my character was not going to show up anymore in the story, as people were tweeting me going like, is he coming back?
Yeah.
And I knew that I wasn't. And then when Dean's character was talking, he said, he was talking to Lavelle.
Yeah.
And he was going like, your carrot top friend there, what's his name? Patrick Kuby. And I was literally at home watching it. I stood up going, oh, my character's first name is Patrick? I didn't know that. Like freaking out.
That's good, right?
Oh yeah, no,
you nailed it, Patrick.
That they totally fleshed it out. But what was just great about that show was just the level that everyone was working on. Like whenever anybody goes, oh, you did a great job on that show, I always go, dude, you would have done a great job on that show. You're working with the best actors ever, writers, directors, cinematography, the whole thing. All you had to do is just say what they wrote and hit the lines and just try to make it sound remotely believable.
Right.
Because that's one thing that I've learned about that whole making TV shows and movies. It's like those are the guys that really, as much as the actors are amazing, like, because every great actor has an absolute dog of a movie. And
right.
It's like,
sure.
What did they forget how to act?
Yeah.
It's just like if you don't have that person who knows how to pace it along, how to edit, how to keep that thing rolling, and then the right music to build up that
it's a whole ensemble thing.
Yeah.
Who did the music for F is for Family?
Dave Kushner.
Who's that guy?
Dave Kushner's from Velvet Revolver. There you go.
Rock and roll.
That's right, man.
How'd you hook up with that guy?
He was a friend of Wild West, Vince Vaughn, and all those guys. Dude, this thing just like, I find after all these years of trying to do a TV show, the one time I was like, I don't have an idea. I got this stupid cartoon idea. This is the thing where all of a sudden the planets all aligned, where Wild West is like the greatest people I've ever worked with as far as putting together a show. And then they get with Mike Price, who's the greatest showrunner I ever worked with. And then we get with Netflix, whose network notes were push it further, which is the dream. It's usually like, remember when we said we wanted edgy? Yeah. We don't. No. We're going to saw the legs off this thing and leave you out there twisting in the wind. And everybody's just like, that show sucked. What was up with that? They were the exact opposite. So then when we had to get music, the thing about the 70s is it's been so mined as far as like all the great songs, I mean, that movie Dazed and Confused alone
all of them
was half my iPod,
They cost money, those songs.
Yes. So what we wanted to do was pick some that were a little bit more obscure, and then we had Dave Kushner and his buddies come up with some original music for it. And it's a really nice...
From the time, kind of, that feel.
Yeah,
it worked out.
Yeah.
And does that mean, what, do you get to... Did he bring rock and roll buddies around, or what?
Oh, absolutely.
Who do you play with? Who comes in to do it?
Oh, no. He all the people that he worked with are all like studio guys.
Oh, yeah.
What was cool is, I got to take you over there sometime, like where they record the music.
Yeah.
It's just a house looks like this.
Yeah.
And they converted the garage where it's literally a room within the room. And like I stood outside the garage, and this
Yeah.
guy hit the drums as hard as he could hit them. It sounded like somebody had a stereo on like 2.
Really?
And
Insulated.
Yeah, and I was just like, I got to have that. Once again, the swirl of garbage disappears.
Yeah.
My own self should go into my own monkey brain.
Yeah,
I'm like, I want to have that.
Yeah,
Cut down some trees and make me that.
Yeah, how do we do this at my house?
Yeah, I got to have one of those. Because I'm not a professional drummer, so I definitely need a professional drumming studio in my garage.
So no one will hear you.
Yeah.
So, like, you don't have to have that self-consciousness about, like...
you want to hear a good story about
What?
that? I used to, when I first moved out here with my then girlfriend, now wife, we lived over this crazy old guy. He was the beginning parts of dementia, which we didn't know. So he was really sarcastic as hell. And, we had hardwood floors. Anytime you drop something on the floor, he would go like, you just hear from downstairs, you just hear, do it again! Keep it up! Like that thing. So what I used to do is whatever I dropped, if I didn't like it, or I just take my Timberland, I would just slam it on the floor.
Really?
And then he would shut up, right? And, but he had this habit of really, he could hear my voice because it was an old building. But when I was on the road, he really acted up, and he would always be yelling at my wife. Like from the floor below. So she kept going, you got to go down there. You got to talk to him. You got to talk to him. And I was just going, yeah, I'm not going down and talk to him. It's an old guy. It's not going to go well. Right. No matter what happens. I'm a young guy. I'm getting into an argument with an old guy.
Right.
I don't want to do this. So whatever. So we had this little apartment. I had my little guitar set up and, my little practice pad with my drums and all that stuff. So one day, it was after Christmas holidays, and I'm taking the Christmas tree down the stairs. I was trying to be quiet, but at the end of the day, I'm taking a fucking tree down the stairs. It's only so quiet you could be.
Right.
So I walk by him, and he's glaring at me. And I just, wink at him or something, like I'm just being playful, whatever, and I take it to the thing. And I come back into the house, and Nia goes like, you need to go down there right now and talk to this guy. He just said this. And it was just a moment. I said, fine, you want me to go down there? And I'll talk to the guy. And I went down, and I start talking to the guy. And I got like 2 words into it, and he starts flipping out, screaming and yelling. And now I'm standing there, and there's an old guy looking like he's going to keel over. He's yelling so bad. And I was in my 30s at that time, so I'm looking like an asshole. When I'm trying to explain, I go, dude, will you relax? I'm just saying, don't yell at my wife. If you have a problem, just come up like a gentleman, blah, 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 blah. And then at one point, he just looks at me and he goes, how's your band? And then he just goes, like he could hear my guitar playing, and he was basically saying I sucked. Dude, my face literally turned red. I was embarrassed. And my wife was right above, listening to it. And she thought it was funny. So for like the next 3 days, I was so mortified I didn't even play. And then when I started playing, I would either not have the amp on or have the headphones on. And I was even picking it really like gingerly. And after like 3-4 days of this, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Fuck this guy. And I turned it up and I started playing again. But there's nothing more embarrassing than when somebody makes fun of your hobby. Because you know it's your hobby.
Yeah.
You know you stink at it. Like if somebody told me you suck as a comic, like, fuck yeah, I put food on the table doing that. You just don't like my act. I can shake that. It still hurts.
Right.
But not to the level like, there's a major exposure when somebody hears your hobby.
Right, because it's vulnerable. He got in your head.
Oh, yeah.
He hit you right where it hurt.
Yeah, you're not a pro. And you're always fantasizing like, do you think I'd be good enough to play in a band?
I know the same way with fucking guitar, dude.
Dude, you can play, though.
There's part of me, though, like, I'm sure you get this, too, where I'm like, I think this is what I'm going to do now. I just got to get some guys together.
No way.
No.
I've gone on tours with other comics, and I've which is basically the band experience, except you don't have to interact with them as much.
Right.
But like, there's always going to be the late guy.
Yeah.
There's going to be the user,
the
pussy hound, and all of that.
But also the fact that I don't know if I can play with people. Playing at home, in your own time, doing one take, or maybe if you think you really nailed that solo, you can hit that song again.
Oh, I wasn't even talking about being any sort of decent band.
Right.
I just mean like trying it, just trying to do it.
But did you get to play with any of these guys? Like, did you get to play with
Kushner? Yeah. Well, they had me play drums on a track for the show. Of course, it didn't make it.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? When I actually listened back
Tree of Bone,
dude. Totally they did. And when I came and listened to the track, dude, and I thought I nailed it, dude. Dude, it was like, you ever hear that joke that how do you know there's a drummer at the door?
Oh.
Because the knocking speeds up. Like, that's what it was, except mine was like, dude, it was.
Couldn't hold it?
Oh.
Yeah.
No, but I was also like, I'm sitting like, that's Dave Kushner standing right there, like, you know what I mean? And they just showed up like, all right, man, go ahead, get in there, have a hit. And they were like, oh, fix it. Yeah. We'll fix it. I kept calling it the Paula Abdul knob. I go, can you turn that up a little more and stretch that out and then condense that thing?
Yeah.
But what ended up happening was, Dave Dave is such a great guy. He does a lot of stuff for charity. And whenever he does charity, he knows all of those guys.
Yeah.
The Guns N' Roses guy, Velvet Revolver guys, like STP guy. He knows all of those guys. So when he puts together a show for charity, it's like an all-star band. It's like you feel like you're at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So I went to a couple of these shows.
Yeah.
And then at one point he said to me, he goes, "Hey man, do you want to sit in on one song? You're going to do some stand-up and then maybe sit in?" And I was like, no, dude. I'm not gonna be that guy.
There's that old man downstairs.
Yeah.
Talking in the back of your head.
No, but also it's just like everybody's geeking out that they're that close to these rock stars.
Yeah.
And then we're going to bring up this jerk off. And I was just like, I don't want to do that. And he goes, all right, man, he's like the guy, they wouldn't care, man. They actually, they like your stuff, blah, 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 blah. And then I was driving. I was thinking, I was like, you know what? That was more of a fear choice. I'm trying to act like I was being courteous.
Right.
Like, I don't want to do that to you, but
Right.
it was really, I was too scared to do it. So I just called him back and said, all right, let's do it.
Yeah.
So we decided we're going to do Highway to Hell. Phil Rudd,
Sure.
straight ahead. So I show up there the day we're doing the sound check, and everybody is a monster. But I'm not recognizing half of the guys. So
Yeah.
I start, once I get their names, I'm like Wikipediaing them. And they're all these insane studio guys, and I own half the albums these guys played on. I'm
Right.
like, oh, my God. I just met this guy. Hey, I'm Chris. I found it's the guy who plays with Jane's Addiction, bass player and stuff. So we end up going up there. I end up going up. I do the sound check. We do the song once. I mean, and it went well. They go, all right, man, that sounds good. Is that, you want to do it again? I go, no, that's how I'm going to do it. So they go, fine. So that night I show up. Now there's a crowd there. The sun's gone down. We're playing outside. And these guys start, I'm looking at the set list going like, okay, I got to be up second or third. They'll warm them up, get the stupid comic in and out, and then they'll go back to being, rock stars with professional drumming. And I'm like third to last song or fourth. I'm like, what are they doing? So they're tearing through 10 songs, destroying them. Frankie Perez on vocals, just crushing.
Yeah.
And it's like these people just going nuts.
Yeah.
Because it's like they're getting their own private concert for this charity thing. And then we're coming up. They did Roadhouse Blues, and I knew I was next to play Highway to Hell. So I sneak up onto the bandstand because I didn't want to get, the announcement or whatever, intro. And as I'm sitting down, the bass player and guitar player walk off stage.
Right.
And I'm getting nervous now just telling you this. I'm like, going, what's going on? We didn't rehearse this. What's going on? So Christian goes, yeah, hey, going to have a special guest on this one, on drum. And everybody's like, oh my God, who's this going to be? Bruce Springsteen? They're so spoiled. They go, on drums, we got Bill Burr, comedian Bill Burr. And dude, literally golf clap. I didn't even think there was a clap. It was just like a collective, who the fuck is that? Right. So now, I'm hiding my face behind one of the cymbals. And then he goes, I also got a couple more friends coming up to the stage from Guns N' Roses. Please welcome Duff McKagan and Slash. And they just walked up on stage. And I was like, oh my God. Right? And dude, I literally, Appetite for Destruction in the 80s, I would lift weights to it and then play drums to it every single day. My older brother wanted to kill me.
Heroes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And me and my brothers used to do a cover of Highway to Hell.
Uh-huh.
And one of my brothers stood where Duff was and the other one stood where Slash was.
Yeah.
It was like 12 worlds all meeting. And I had 3 seconds to process this. And then Slash just goes, da-na-na, da-na-na. And I was like, oh God, here we go. And then I couldn't feel my legs. And somehow I was able to get through it. I screwed up like 3 times, but I came back on time, And I just remember in the end, how the band cuts out?
Yeah.
And then Bon Scott does the all the way. And then there's the big cymbal wash.
Yeah.
Well, Slash, Duff, and Dave all turn around for the cue because it's on me. And dude, I would have been less nervous if like literally 3 oak trees came to life and bent down and talked to me. And so I get off stage and like, I am grinning like Julia Roberts. Like all my molars are showing. I'm like, I couldn't believe it. I got to meet Slash afterwards and he said he liked my drumming. He was being nice. So now I am floating. Like, wow, I just play with these rock stars and they like me. So then of course I leave, get in my Prius, right? The most unrock and roll thing ever. And I was driving down, it was up in the Hollywood Hills where we did it. And I was literally screaming, like just out the window. I couldn't fucking believe it happened. So I go down to the Comedy Store because I was going to meet these guys to smoke a cigar. And I go down there and I get out of the car. And one of the guys that runs the store, Adam, comes out. He goes, hey, Bill, I didn't even come by now. He goes, you want to go up? And I was like, nope. No. No. That was the end of my night right there.
Yeah.
So I go in the back. I tell all the guys the story. They can't believe it. Night of my life. as I'm telling the story, Kushner sent me some video of it, so I showed it to them. They're like, dude, that's like Make-A-Wish stuff. That's unreal. I literally didn't want the night to end.
Right.
So it's 3 a.m, and now I finally have to go home. And this is where I turn back into a pumpkin.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is the greatest night ever. So I get in my Prius again. I'm driving out of the Comedy Store parking lot. You know, I got to wait to make the left to cross Sunset. And all of a sudden, there's this knock on my passenger side window.
Yeah.
I look over, drop dead gorgeous woman.
Right.
I'm like, it's just can't get any better.
Right.
I immediately go to my ego. She'd be like, oh, I didn't know you were down here tonight. I was the biggest fan. Did you go up? I love your comedy. I thought she was going to do that.
Yeah.
I rolled down the window. And she sticks her whole head in the car and she just goes, are you Felipe, our Uber driver? I just was like, no. No, I'm not. And then I just drove home in silence.
Welcome back to the planet.
Yeah, so.
Oh, that couldn't have ruined it too much.
No, it was still, it was an awesome. And I got to do it one other time recently, and I got to play with Gilby Clarke. And
oh, that's great. He's a good guy.
Oh, yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah, yeah.
And Duff again, and it was insane.
Living the life, man.
Yeah, but I keep it in perspective that I know I know that I suck.
Yeah, you know.
And I also know that it's one and done. When you do those things, you do one song, and then the novelty's over, or else they're just
don't hang out. Then it's a job, and you're not doing it well.
Exactly.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, no, but I mean, it's good to know that, like, no matter what happens, you're always going to suck to you. What do you mean? Well, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, the thing that's going to keep us humble is that part of us that's sort of like,
No, I think everybody that's actually really good at what they do is not happy with what they're doing.
I think that, it's a shame, isn't it?
To a certain level. No, because I can be happy with what I've done.
Right.
But, like, I always had that feeling, I know I can do better, I know I can get better.
Yeah.
Because other than that, then you just like become that guy. Yeah, I'm great at this.
Yeah, my hour's good. I don't need to change it.
And then you're like, hey, what's up with
all this new
Bill Clinton? Huh?
Yeah.
This Monica Lewinsky stuff is crazy.
Well, look, dude, F is for Family is great. And how many did you do?
We did 6. So they gave us like half a season to see how we do. So I have no idea what next year's going to be. It's either going to be us doing a season 2, hopefully.
Yeah.
Depending on how this thing goes, or I will continue living my dream to be a comedian. So I look at all this other stuff.
You are living the dream. You're huge.
I am. Not
great.
huge. You snuck in you're huge. I meant I am living the dream.
Yes. But no, you're also a very popular comedian.
I'm doing all right.
All right, buddy. Good seeing you.
I'm doing all right. Thank you.
That was me and Bill. You can go to Netflix and watch that F is for Family. Gotta love Bill Burr. Right? Of course you do.